Here we go. We live.
Oh, and now we're finally live. Right.
We
Okay.
live. Press reset and we're good to go. Okay? You didn't say
Oh,
the magic word. Reset. Reset.
I did not use the word reset this morning when starting the broadcast. So, my apologies
Mm-mm.
to the broadcast gods. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, we've been over
You're like,
here
that's all you
trying,
have to say, Tracy.
just
That's all
trying to
you have to
come
say.
on. That's all I had to say. Who knew? Who knew? Good morning, goddesses.
Oh my
Welcome to
goodness.
Moments in the Morning. How are you today?
Oh my goodness. We are well breathing. How are you, mountain spirit, with your flowers?
Alive, alive. I'm
I
alive.
We alive and live.
You're like the bride of
love
Frankenstein. She's alive. She's alive. She's alive. I'm alive. Nowadays we
Ah,
are deeply grateful because
yeah,
nobody knows who's gonna wake up the next day.
sure don't.
right. So
But here we are.
grateful.
Ruby is
Hey,
here.
Ruby.
Dr.
Yeah.
Renee is here.
Yay!
Belinda, welcome, welcome to all the goddesses. Welcome.
Hello. It's just us squirrels. That's all. It's just us here.
All of us
Right, right.
awake.
Are we gonna get to one day be able to see people? How many people can we see on this platform? Be
I
nice if
think
we could
maybe
see
you might have 10.
for people who want to show themselves. Not
Yeah,
if I mean if you want to remain, you
that may
know.
require some planning, advance notice. Like you will be seen today.
Oh no, I would. It wouldn't be something that we would
Oh,
do to people. It would
I
be
know.
something that they could choose.
Right. I know.
I was just asking what the technological possibility was.
Yeah, it is. I think we could even do one or two at a time. Those who want to, of course, yes.
So it
Yeah,
is possible. Yeah.
It's
I
possible.
believe so. I believe
It's very
so.
possible.
I believe, I
Yeah.
believe, I believe.
Yes.
So what you got on the plate, goddess?
Oh my goodness.
What you bring us here for, Tracy?
What did I bring you here for?
It's like, what are we doing here? What's happening?
Well, I brought us here so we can just have some good conversation this morning. Happy Saturday. Oh my gosh, it's Saturday,
Self
right?
love Saturday. It is. It is. Again, it doesn't feel like it. So I don't know. I don't know.
We just had a Saturday.
We did. We did.
This is
We
getting
just had
tired.
Fridays, two
Every week is
Saturdays.
Saturday.
There it is again.
And
Mm.
it just keeps
There it
coming
is.
back that
So
way. Just keeps coming
it's
back that way.
happening.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
today I want to talk a little bit about um, perception, right? So inside of the Slate Bible, let's see where I am here. 66. Let's start on 65. So,
Oh,
perception is everything when it
interesting.
comes to understanding how you view
You
yourself.
ready?
Are you ready?
Yes.
Husband Spirit has a book. Yes, the student is ready.
Oh, you got your book. Okay.
All
What
the
page?
students.
65.
Okay.
65.
Got it.
So, perception is everything when it comes to understanding how you view yourself and the world you are in. If you perceive life as hard, terrible, and unjust, your life will be hard, terrible, and unjustly. If you perceive that you have to struggle and work hard for everything you want in life, then you will struggle and work hard for everything you want in life. And before I could fully understand and walk in this concept, I had to explore it for myself. So I put a lot of time and energy into my retrospective research to test this theory I was now hanging on to. And I thought about past circumstances and situations, both good and bad. I thought about how I felt and what I was saying or thinking about at those times. And I saw that I had done some crazy things. I also saw that I did some pretty amazing things. And I realized that my perception of any given situation at any given time brought about more of the same. So, for real, whatever I thought about, I brought about.
Mm.
And as I began to walk in these moments of enlightenment, I started to rethink things about myself and how I previously perceived the happenings in my life.
Mm.
And I realized the more I put out into the universe, the more things started lining up for and coming to me. It was then that I knew I had to repave the path ahead of me. And I had to rethink how I was thinking to truly reflect the outcomes I desired. So let me ask you, how do you currently perceive yourself and the path that you're on right now?
That's the
That,
question,
that's the question.
mountain spirit.
What was the question again?
How do you perceive yourself or your life path, the path that you're on right now?
And of course, those who are watching, you can put you can answer the question in the comments.
I want to
We'll
say
add it
none of
in the
your
chat.
business.
Is it true? It is
Like
none of my
this is
business.
between me and me. No one needs to know.
That's totally up to you.
Where's your calabash this morning? Okay, get your calabash. We need to shift,
Where's my
reset.
calabash?
Okay,
I say none of your business.
get the magic potion.
But it since it's a matter of perception, right?
Mhm.
It's a matter of
Um, it just seemed that it sounded redundant to me because how I see my walk is my perception. So it's always going to be my perception. I dare not share how other people see it, but that would be interesting, right? Um, it feels well. The first word I want to say is that it's a singular um, kind of walk, and by that I don't mean that it's lonely. I mean that the one pointed intention and determination has to be that strong. It's the kind of walk that when you waver, your entire life reacts to your wavering.
Mhm.
So I perceive my walk as like the great Willinda, um, but those of us looking at the Willindas walking on the tightrope would be experiencing all of this tension and all of this, fear and drama, and they are totally cool walking it. So
Mhm.
their perception, the Willinda's perception of walking the tightrope is just walking.
Yeah.
But the circus people and everybody else looking at them is producing all that adrenaline. So in that sense, it's a solitary walk because your perception is very, very unique. You're doing things uh, that are perceived as being difficult and stressful and complicated when you're just walking your spiritual walk. I've had people tell me, I had someone tell me yesterday, why do you attract such sick people? I'm a healer, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I was a different kind of person, and there was a time in my life when I would wonder, it's like, why am I surrounded by sick people? Everybody who comes around just has a problem and they need help, and who's going to help me and all of that. But that's because I was perceiving my walk from that other side. But when I began to perceive it
Mm.
from the inside, from the person walking, it's like, yeah, yeah, this is my space, this is my pack, and then these are the wolves that I run with. So my perception of my walk feels good.
Yeah. Yeah. And really it's more just about getting you to understand, not you, and like you have to put out there like why what your perception is of what you're doing, but the conversation is just to really get other people to think about, what is your own perception of your walk. It
Right.
doesn't necessarily have to be that you have to share it with the world, but is your perception of your space and time a good one? Are you in alignment with where you want to be at this space and time? Good
Mhm.
morning, Goddess Val. We see you,
Good
Goddess.
morning, Val.
Hi, Val.
Val had all the pie. She did not leave me anything. All of it.
All of
All the pies.
it.
So Belinda answered the question.
Here, I'll
She
put it
said,
up
I
for you.
perceive
Let's hear
myself
it. Yeah, let's hear
as
it.
always striving to be a better person. I pray that I'm doing the part of being a better person by doing good deeds. I hope God accepts my efforts.
I'm sure they've been accepted, past, present, and future.
Yeah. But
Yes.
do you accept your efforts, Belinda?
Mhm.
Do you recognize and affirm your own effort? Right? Because I think it also goes to that. And I do understand that, right? In terms of, yes, we all answering to a higher power, but at some point throughout who's that inner work to continue doing that, it's gonna be you to be to know, right? There's that knowing in
Mhm.
addition to the creator, the universe, whoever your higher being is, to accept your efforts and what you're doing. But ultimately, do you see it? Because it's gonna be almost like a constant is going to be constant in terms of having to, and it's a journey like everything we do here, where it's like it's not going to be like a check mark where you're like, okay, I'm there kind of situation. So the path, it's something you're going to be on, throughout the life cycle. And so part of that is being okay, and you're going to be at different points. So you're going to be okay being wherever you're at, knowing your efforts are in alignment with your vision and what you want to do.
What you said, Tracy, about if you perceive the world, a certain way, then it's going to dictate how you behave in the world. So
Mhm.
if the world is this big and scary place,
Mm,
then you're not going to trust anything. You're not going to trust
Right.
anyone. It's not going to be a safe place. And if you see the world as a loving place where nothing goes wrong, well, that's delusional as well. Um, because it is, I mean, both extremes are still open to much interpretation.
yeah.
So that dance, going back to that dancing, hearing the sounds of life and just being able to move with that rhythm. So I don't know if there's a cookie cutter formula other than just feeling it from moment to moment,
Hmm.
and dancing with it and being ready, being that flexible. And
Right.
I think that's the secret, really, is to not get so fixed with the positions that we take. And if we remain flexible, um, change is easier, and taking advantage of those opportunities where we can shift our perspective.
Oh,
I
that's a
mean,
good one.
the attachment, right? Even to our own perspectives, right?
Yeah.
We do get attached. It's like, oh, it's safe over here. I don't
Stay
know if
there.
anyone has experienced, like, when you're ready to move. I've moved houses several times, and even though I knew I was moving, and always at that very end, there's that, I don't really want to go. You feel this resistance,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and I feel it with every shift. I'm going to be honest. I just push through it, but it's not easy. It's not easy. It's like a human tendency to just get attached to whatever that perspective is, and you kind of have to go at it to dislodge it. You know.
You do. You do. You do. Ruby says, my self perception is transformative. I was
Mhm.
pre programmed for poverty, but I have a desire for abundance. Therefore, I aim for excellence.
Hmm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. That programming is well and alive. Dr. Renee. Ooh.
Yes, the deep. How do we deprogram this stuff? We got to
Mm.
start working on some deprogramming
Deep.
strategy. You know.
It's a
Mhm.
major one.
And Dr. Renee says, my perception feels like I'm in a tunnel into
Mm.
the light, full of possibilities, knowing and believing there is more.
There is
Yes.
more.
Yes. That's a
There is
beautiful
more.
deprogramming strategy. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Ruby, Renee, Belinda, y'all got this.
Belinda, yes. We're having a jam moment right here. Okay.
Praise
This is what
the
jam
Lord.
is supposed to be. Spontaneous jam, improv jam. Okay. Thank you for participating and sharing your self-perception. And that part, that's the part sometimes when you grounded in that, I'm telling you, there is gonna be also resistance from the external, because there's something like I discovered that recently where if your perception or just living your life in joy, I realize that can really piss off some people. It just pisses it off, especially when you like stay in your knowing and you're like, I am good. Now, of course, it doesn't mean everything is perfect, but when
Right.
you know things are working, when you truly centered in whatever it is that's making you feel good, and that's the other thing too that pissed off some people, where their goal, just like that pre-programming, when you still living in abundance, when you still working on yourself, when you still have joy, I'm telling you, just looking at you without even you saying all that can set people off.
It can. It really can. And I've started laughing because the conversation about this perception reality piece actually is something that came up between an old friend and myself. And, he just was really, really angry in the moment. And I don't even know why he was so angry. He said, I don't know about you, but I live in reality. I
Oh,
said, you're absolutely right. You live in reality. And I'm
your
gonna leave
reality.
it right there in your reality. But that was, and he was adamant that I should be living in that reality too, because something must be wrong with me because I don't think the way he thinks.
Mm,
So yeah, that was something. That
yeah,
was to
that's a
explain.
projection right there. That's a projection. If you ever needed to know one, where you're like, what? And of course, nobody's saying like, come. And that's the other thing too for me in terms of like, we are speaking for ourselves. We are speaking in our own voice, our own truth,
Yes,
and so others, it's like there's no, unlike the systems we live in, there's no pressure or this thing where you have to be me or be us, like what we always say, deciding what you want and you create it, you get to create it. Now if there are ingredients in our reality that you are in alignment with, perhaps you can say, I want a little bit of that, but you ultimately you get to create it throughout
exactly.
your whole life. So take that on, take it on, claim it,
Mhm.
and choose what that's going to be. And then all of it falls on me.
Yep.
I'm not going to be pointing at no one else anymore because I get to create it. And then
Mhm.
you get to change your mind. And to me, as I was listening to both of you, that's growth. To be able to say, you know what, I made a shift. I used to see it this way. Now I see it that way. It's not always going to be the same. And
Mhm.
there's definitely going to be some, tug and pull. Is that what it is? Tug and pull? I don't even know.
I think it's pull and tug.
Right.
Whatever the order is.
You got it
When
all
you bring to the
backwards.
order. But there's resistance. Either way, there's resistance in terms of like, it's not going to be smooth sailing. And especially when you're working on yourself, like
Yeah,
you're going to be questioning things. Are there people who think they knew you? And again, I say that knew you because they will be comparing your past to your present and who you're trying to be and who you want to become.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that itself, they were like, who the heck is this? I remember when. I'm like, no, we're working on now, not when. I left when behind. That was like
Right. That's
two
right.
decades ago. So Val has her own. My
Mhm.
perception is centered in gratefulness and joy. Some folks will not understand my joy. Yep.
that's true. Not everyone will understand. That's so she's got
But
that
that's none of
so
my
so
business.
right.
Them understanding and
Yeah,
their perception of me, none of my business. As long as you understand your joy and remain centered in that gratefulness and joy, that's all that matters.
None of my business. None of my
None.
business.
You hear me, Val? Okay.
Mhm.
None of it. But I love how clear all of you are about your perception of self,
Yes. Yeah.
because
That's
more
awesome.
of us need to be that way, because that's the challenge where we are constantly being defined. Your self image and your self perception, those are the things, and how you feel about yourself,
Hmm.
how you feel about yourself. And of course, as you're growing and evolving, as Val shared, make the shift. And then we're always changing. And I think that's why sometimes having those affirmation, and that's why some days when I'm like, I am water, I am seed, things that are always in growth mode, for lack of a better word. But sometimes they also, you don't always see the growth. Sometimes the growth is happening in that darkness, Dr. Renee, until you're out of that tunnel and there is light.
Right.
But that process still needed to happen to get to the other side. You don't magically just become that. And so whatever stage you're in, be in that stage, and I would say claim it, because sometimes we doing that comparison thing too, where we like, well, out in spirit, it looks like she's in the light and she's doing this, but she did the work to get to the light. Are you doing the work to get you there? So be okay with your process and journey, knowing you get there, and it's a slow process. So be prepared.
But and on that note, it's important. Well, when we understand what's going on with us, it's a lot easier to be compassionate.
Mm,
But at the same time, as we're getting in touch with that, with what you're discussing, Marie, is the same compassion and understanding for what other people are going through, because we have a tendency to look at where people are at, and then we decide they should be further along,
Mm.
or maybe they got a little too much. It's like
mm-hmm,
we really have to admit that we don't have a right to have an opinion about that, unless we're opening up their right to have an opinion about us. I think when we open up
mm,
like that, it's got to go both ways. It can't just
yes.
be, you're going to sit here and judge where I should be. There was a man who used to go around encouraging people to walk, to pray, to walk. And I was in an audience once where someone criticized him because he wore crutches and he could barely walk. But this was his thing, going around the world encouraging people to walk. So someone in the
Mm,
audience has said, well, wait, if this stuff works, why ain't you walking? And he said, you didn't know where I was. You're looking at where I am now, but you don't know where I've
mm,
come from.
Mm.
And the man had been an invalid, one of those neck down, comatose, confined to, couldn't move, was never going to move
mhm,
ever, neurological, like what that Superman had, from the neck down,
mm,
total.
mhm.
And so now he's walking around on these crutches. So from our standards,
That's
if
how
we didn't,
walking.
right, if we didn't know the history, we would
Mhm,
think, well, why don't he walk? But he prayed and got to that point.
mhm.
And yes, we do a disservice to ourselves when we insist on thinking we know,
Yeah.
um, that we figured someone out. So I think we have to question ourselves when we see someone and say, well, wait a minute, they should be further along, or why aren't they doing it? And say, well, we don't know
Mhm.
how far they've come. You
That's
don't know
true.
where they've come from. You don't know what kind of work they've done. Because that's what it's about, right, Marie? That's what you're saying. It's about what you
Mhm.
have invested in
Yeah.
there, how much work you're doing.
Yeah. And it's you can't always see it, and that's the thing. So I think a lot of the work, most of it, particularly us, regardless of what we're doing now as human being, as entrepreneurs, whatever role you in, the depth of that inner work, nobody gets to see it. And you're gonna have to be okay with that. Like it will not be broadcasted. So a lot of things you've been through where people think they're gonna know. And that's why people always wanna be your destination. But they don't want to know what it took to even get to today. But they want to be that. But I'm like, to get to where I am, you have to be willing to have gone through all those things for me to even be able to be here and still becoming. But sometimes people just want to get here. And I'm like, if you really want to know, but nobody's ever gonna see that part. But you know what it took to get here.
Yeah. Yeah. Before we go, Renee said reprogramming definitely needed to help us move past childhood trauma and through to our true selves.
Hmm.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Woo! That's some
And
deep
we're all
discussion.
working, right. We're all a work in progress
Hmm.
constantly. So it's up to us this path that we want to be on, whether or not we want to share it. And it is my prayer that the Slay book is kind of helping you along your own journey.
It's helping me.
Because if you're really paying attention, I'm never telling you what to do, or these are the things that I have done to get to where I am and what I've come through and all of those things. And when you hear other people talking, you hear them talking about their experiences and how they have come to use it along the way. So
Hmm.
encourage you to continue to do that for yourselves. And I thank you all again for joining us this morning for Me Moments in the Morning. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. We
Um,
programming. That is
Yeah,
key.
we've got a little work to do. We've got work to do, but we can definitely get some of this work done together, which is what I love. So, thank you all again for joining us this morning. If you so choose, meet us over on Clubhouse, and we'll continue the conversation and start talking about our gratitude, intention, and
An
affirmations for Monday.
affirmation.
And with
Have a
that,
great day, everyone.
love you all. See you tomorrow.
Hugs, hugs,
All virtual
hugs.
hugs, like
Kisses, all of it.